When this grandmother, Naomi, tossed her granddaughter into the river, this tiger did something incredible. 10-year-old Maya was a sweet, intelligent, and easygoing girl. Being her parents' only child, she received a lot of love from her parents, and they gave her everything she wanted. They protected her from all sorts of harm. However, since her parents couldn't go everywhere with her, Maya was left to defend herself when she was outside. But what would a 10-year-old need to defend herself from? As you may know, some kids are bullied in school, and sadly, Maya happened to be one of them, all because of what her grandma had done many years ago. The bullying started when Maya started 3rd grade. That day, she and her friend Cecilia argued over a book they had read during the weekend. When Cecilia saw that she was losing the argument and her classmates were hailing Maya as the clear winner, she decided to get even by saying something she would never have said. She told Maya that her parents were hiding a terrible secret from her. "Have you asked your mum why you have a big tiger artwork in your living room? Do you also know that your grandmother is a witch? She tried to eat your eyes when you were little. Why haven't your parents and grandfather told you? I thought your family loved you." It was from this moment that everyone in class started calling Maya the granddaughter of a witch. That day in class, it dawned on Maya that her parents never spoke about her grandmother. The house was filled with pictures of her grandfather, but there were no pictures of her grandmother. That day, when Maya got home, she went to her parents' room and told them everything that had happened in school. Maya's mother, Clara, was devastated when she heard about it. You see, Cecilia and Maya's mother were friends, and they knew a lot about each other's families. So Clara knew that Cecilia must have overheard her parents discussing the tragedy that befell Maya when she was only 3 months old. However, the little girl had changed some details just to score points during the argument. "I'm so sorry, baby, but Grandma is not a witch, and she didn't try to eat your eyes. Your grandfather and I were hoping to tell you when you turn 16, but with the current situation, I think it's time you know the truth," Maya's mother said and hugged her daughter. The next day, Maya's parents drove her to her grandfather's house. After dinner, the family sat around the table. "It's time you know the truth," Grandpa said, patting his granddaughter's shoulder. "Here is how it all happened. 14 years ago, Clara, 16, started going out with Kelvin, 25, to whom she is now married. Naomi, Clara's mother, was against this relationship because she felt Clara was young and still had her whole life ahead of her. Naomi became depressed because of Clara's choice to go out with Kelvin, and it was from this point that her mental health started to suffer. 3 months later, Clara fell pregnant. Naomi was disappointed with her daughter. She thought Clara had ruined her future. She became so angry and sad. She lost interest in her daily activities. She felt she and everyone around her were worthless. Soon enough, the doctors diagnosed her with bipolar disorder. In due time, Clara went into labor and Maya was born. Everyone was excited except Naomi, and she refused to carry the little girl in her arms. "I need you the most right now. Even if you will not forgive me, can you please accept my daughter?" Clara often told Naomi whenever she visited the house. After Maya's birth, Naomi's mental health deteriorated. And to make matters worse, she refused to take the drugs that she had been prescribed to treat her disorder. She spent most of her time talking to herself. She also started writing the word river on anything she came across. Books, walls, just name it. At this point, no one knew that Naomi was plotting something terrible. Whenever Clara visited her parents, Naomi would stare at the little girl and hiss at her. Regardless of Naomi's character, everyone felt she would eventually come around. Also, Clara didn't visit the house often so as not to trigger Naomi. On Christmas Eve, Clara and Kelvin visited Clara's parents. By this time, Maya was 3 months old, and Christmas was supposed to be filled with excitement, fun, and laughter, right? But this one would turn out to be a nightmare. Later that day, the family ate in the dining room, but Naomi didn't join them. Instead, she locked herself up in the room. When Clara went to check on her, she saw her sleeping. After dinner, the adults went upstairs to discuss Naomi's health. But they made a big mistake. They left Maya downstairs. The infant was fast asleep in her crib. About 15 minutes later, they returned to the living room, and what they saw scared the living daylights out of them. Maya wasn't in her crib, and the front door was widely opened. Clara immediately suspected that Naomi had something to do with it. So she rushed to her room and she found a note which read, "It's time to tell the baby goodbye." "She has the baby! She's going to hurt her!" Clara yelled as she ran down the stairs. They called out to Naomi, but there was no response. Just then, Clara's dad screamed, "The river!" As soon as he said it, everyone understood what he meant. After all, since Maya's birth, Naomi had been doodling river in her notebooks, so they suspected that she had gone to the river. There was a river close to the house, so they all rushed there. From afar, they saw Naomi running towards the river with little Maya in her hands. The little girl was now awake and crying. Naomi was already close to the river, and even if they were to run faster than Usain Bolt, they still wouldn't be able to stop her. But Clara didn't care. Her daughter was in danger, so how could she just give up without a fight? So she ran as fast as she could, and with tears streaming down her cheeks, she screamed, "Mum, please, you don't want to do this. That's your granddaughter." Naomi was a few feet away from the river when a roar suddenly filled the air. The river was surrounded by thick trees, and a tiger suddenly dashed out from a corner and ran towards Naomi. As soon as the woman saw the tiger, she froze, but after a few seconds, she recovered from the shock. Afterward, she quickly opened her purse and brought out a lighter that she lit. Although tigers are brave animals, they are naturally afraid of flames. As soon as the tiger saw the fire from the lighter, she suddenly stopped in her tracks. Thinking she had subdued the tiger, Naomi resumed her walk towards the river. Just then, the tiger roared again, and something amazing happened. This tiger placed her desire to save little Maya over her fear of the flame, so she resumed running towards Naomi. How selfless! Naomi was frightened when she saw that the tiger didn't give up, yet she didn't stop moving towards the river. As she ran, she kept turning her head sideways to look at the tiger, who was now running very fast. Finally, the tiger closed in on Naomi just as she was about to toss Maya into the river. Fortunately, her plans didn't work. Because she was filled with fear, she didn't stretch her hands far enough, so Maya fell to the bank of the river. Just then, the tiger attacked Naomi and pushed her deep into the river. The woman didn't know how to swim, so she drowned right away. Wasting no time, the tiger ran towards Maya and sniffed her as if to check if she was in good health. She grabbed Maya's shirt with her teeth and pulled her away from the riverbank. She stared at the baby for a few seconds before running back into the wild. As soon as the tiger left, Clara ran towards her daughter and hugged her passionately. She couldn't believe she had almost lost her child, and she was grateful to the tiger. She fell to her knees and in a loud pitch she said, "Hey, tiger, I know you can't hear me now, but I am so grateful and I will never forget this." By the time Grandpa was done narrating the story, Maya couldn't hold back her tears. "I am sorry about what happened, but I also want you to know that Grandma isn't evil. She was bipolar at the time, and she didn't know what she was doing. I hope you can find a place to forgive her someday," Clara said. Heaving deeply, Maya said, "I understand, and I forgive Grandma wholeheartedly. I'm glad I know the full story." Later that evening, Maya asked her family members if they could erect a grave in Naomi's name, and they agreed. Now and then, they visit her grave. Also, Maya finally understood why her parents have a big tiger artwork in their living room, and she developed a strong interest in tigers. What do you think about tigers? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. See you next time.